All right. This will be the last video before I go home. Then I'm going to do some more at home tonight when I can get stuff together a little bit better and whatnot. I have a little more time. So we're going to talk about script study right now. And we're going to go through some different processes that you can use to learn your scripts. All right, a lot of people struggle with this, and in canvassing we go through a lot of this script study where we want to make sure that we're giving you as many resources as possible. And I think a lot of people, they get home. No, you're good. It's a video on YouTube. Let me just mute myself. 1 second, guys. Just 1 second. Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead. Yes. Yes, you should do it. Yes, yep. So the way that it would work is all right. Sorry about that. Just needed to answer a question quick. So geez, man, I can't figure anything I'm trying to do here. There we go. So I want to make sure that we're giving you enough resources to be able to study, and get through this easily. I mean, it's definitely, in canvassing, we're in here for just an extended period of time. We're able to study a lot more. It's easier when you have people around for sure that are doing the same job. It makes it a lot easier to be able to get done, to get it done. Right. So we're going to go through some methods though right now. Okay. So the first thing that I want to go through here, share my screen with you real quick. Okay. So number one, all right, you have the obvious, writing it down. Okay. Now here's my opinion on writing down. Here's my opinion on writing down the script. Okay. That's fine. It's a good way to learn. Some people do better learning that way than others. I have a tough time with it. If I'm writing something down, I'm not usually memorizing it because I'm not thinking about it when I write it down. I mean, I'm just kind of just going and copy it. But some people do. Some people think about that. Some people have a real good time, but other people don't. Okay. Sorry again, getting preoccupied. Okay. So, writing it down, the effectiveness is if you really pay attention. This is when I first started canvassing, I had to write the script down. I mean, we spend half a day. Maybe that's why I don't like it because we literally spend half a day, like 4 hours, writing down the script over and over and over and over again. I mean, until our hands bled. It was terrible. So maybe that's the reason why I have such a problem with this. But look, if it works for you, it works for you. Some people learn better that way. Here's what I would do then. Okay. First, break it into sections. Okay. That you got to do. You can't just write it through over and over again and expect to get anything down. You're just going to ending up in a bad spot if you do that. Break it down into sections. So go introduction, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay. That brings me to my second thing. Have a numbered system. Do not just do it on I guess, whim. Is that how you spell that word? Whatever. You get the point. Don't just do it. I mean, it's not how you do. Or maybe it's not a real word. We'll just say whim. Maybe that's probably not even a word, but that's fine. Don't just do it on a whim. Okay. You have to have a numbered system down. I'm going to write this down 5 times. I'm going to write this down 8 times. Okay. My suggestion would be to diversify what you do. Okay. Just like they tell you to diversify your portfolio, diversify what you do. Diversify your memorization portfolio. Okay. That would always be that's the first suggestion I always give anybody when we're in training is diversify your training portfolio. Go through and do this in all different ways. So that's you have a numbered system. You read it, you write it down, 5 times. Then you do the next thing. Then you do the next thing. You try to work through it that way. I'd suggest that's probably the best way to do it. Hold on, I'm spinning here on this thing I'm trying to get done. Okay. All right. My next thing would be don't make this the only thing you do for a number of different reasons. A, it will take forever. B, you'll never learn how to communicate the words. You'll never learn how to communicate the words. You'll never learn it if you don't start to speak it. Okay? So you want to trust me, make sure that you're communicating the words as well. Okay. There's some other reasons I'm sure too why, but don't make this the only thing that you do. Okay. Some people learn well from writing because it forces them to visualize the words. Okay. So some people learn well from that, other people don't. I've met more people that don't probably than do. Okay. But I think that it's definitely an important part of what you can do. Okay. Another thing that you can do. Okay. Read it in your head. Okay. This is a good way to do it. If you're around other people and you don't want to be embarrassing, you're with your roommates or something like that, and they're watching TV and you're trying to study. And what again, it's not the best way to study at all. It's not even a good way to study, I'd say. But I'm not going in the order of effectiveness here. Okay. We're going to get to the more effective things here in a second, but this is it's there, it exists. Okay. Again, break it. I break all these things into sections. Break into sections. Okay. Understand this will also take forever. All right. There's no way that you can learn this effectively by just reading it in your head, 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 reading it in your head. It's just not going to work out. One second. I keep having issues here. Okay. Okay. So again, diversification is important. All right, break it into sections. Okay, read it in your head. So this is what I do now. I'm writing it down. Introduction, bada bada bada. I write it down 3 times. Then I read it in my head 3 times. Maybe I read my writing. And again, another way to do it too is when you're writing it down, speak it out loud. Say the words out loud when you're writing it down. So, good morning, Mr. Jones. Okay, kind of like I'm doing when I'm writing this down here. Okay, will help you with the memorization process. Okay, it's about getting all these different things out, doing all these different things. Highly, highly important. Okay, break it into sections. So understand this will also take forever. Diversification is the most important thing. Okay. Okay. Then you get to number 3. Okay, and this is where we get to some stuff that I think is a little bit more effective. Okay. This is effective in a different way. Okay. Listen to it on recording. Oh. This by far is not the most effective way neither. Okay. But this is something that you can do while you're doing other things. And that's the effectiveness of this, is that it doesn't interfere with your life as much. Okay. Can do while doing other things, like for example, the dishes, right? If I'm doing the dishes and I'm also listening to this on recording, then I'm hearing it in my head. Okay. Um, put it on right before bed and right when you wake up. Okay. Make it more effective. Okay. Put it on right before you go to bed. Listen to it for a half hour. Okay. Put it on right before you right when you wake up. Listen to it for a half hour. Okay. Car rides. Listen and pitch along with it on car rides. Again, break down into sections. Okay. Highly important that you break it down into sections, but listen, listen, listen. This is something that you can do when you're in a room with somebody else. You got headphones in, you're listening to it. Okay. You're in your car. It's effective. Okay. Get it into your brain. Listen, you don't got to do this for a long time, but you have to do it a lot for a short period of time. It's about getting it done and then not having to deal with it again. By the way, this is broken into two sections here. Okay. This first part, I'm going over this for newer people. Then we're going to do an actual script study exercise for people that have been here for a while. Okay. All right. So, 4, when you're just learning this thing, okay, read it out loud, out loud. I thought that might happen. Or even in the mirror. Okay. Reason why this is so effective. Number one, of course, I'll say this first. Break it in 2 sections. Okay. Say that first. It gives you the communication aspect of the position. You can hear it coming from your own mouth. Okay. This will bring out any mistakes, successes, and failures. Okay. So you're saying it, you're saying you can hear yourself communicating it. It will be helpful for you, definitely, because you're going to be able to hear yourself struggling or not struggling, so on and so forth. Okay. You can visualize yourself saying it in the mirror. Okay. And that's beneficial to visualize yourself saying it in the mirror. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to I got this. This is a struggle right now. What's going on here? I'll keep unmuted for this. You guys too stupid to figure out the computer? Sorry, had to send that out. Okay, here we go. Nope. Man, those guys are screwing that up. Sorry about that. Okay. So when you put these things together, this is how you learn. Okay. So you come up with a system for yourself. Okay. Come up with a system for yourself. All right. Create a learning system for yourself based on your effectiveness doing different things. Okay. So for example, I'm going to have a schedule. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this could be a schedule in two different ways. Okay. You can schedule time for yourself to do this literally like, okay, from 8 to 9 or whatever, or B, schedule, I'm going to do this X amount of times. I'm going to have this system done X amount of times. Okay. Until I learn is the ultimate goal, but you can break it down into times. All right. And what I guarantee you is that if you do this enough, then you will have this down perfectly. Okay. So the way this works is like this. Okay. I'm gonna write up my own system right now. Okay. So I'm gonna say for me, I know the most effective way for me is to read it out loud in front of a mirror. Okay. But I also know that my time is limited when it comes to doing that too. All right. You might know, dealing with kids, for example, that you can listen to it a lot, but you're not going to be able to do as much reading out loud in the mirror. Okay. For me, I can schedule that time. I can talk to my wife and I can schedule that time to get that done. So my system is going to look something like this. I'm going to go, okay, um, for section, we'll call it section 1 through 3. Okay, let's say, for example, this is Monday, section 1 through 3. Okay, let's say I'm getting this down Monday. I want section 1 through 3. I mean, introduction, the brief problems with Windows part, and the value of the visit. Okay, which is 3 easy sections to get down. That should definitely be done in one day. There's no reason why it should take you longer than a day. If it takes you longer than a day, then I think that you need to examine, how you're going about doing this. So, all right. So for me, number one, oh, write down 3 times. I'm going to write it out 3 times, word for word. Write it down 3 times, word for word. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, after I write that down 3 times, all right, then I'm going to read it out loud 5 times. Okay, I want to hear myself say it. I want to hear myself say it. Okay, then I'm going to read in my head for 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to set a clock and everything. I'm going to read it in my head for 10 minutes. Okay, then I'm going to get in front of a mirror to read it 5 times. Okay, I'm going to hear myself say it. I'm going to see myself say it 5 times. Okay, then this is the next important thing. I'm going to test myself. Okay, I'm going to do this in a number of different ways. Okay, the way that I'm going to test myself probably this time is I'm going to try to write it down without looking. Okay, so there's 2 effective ways to test yourself. You write it down without looking, or you record without looking and check against the script. Okay, these are the 2 effective ways to test yourself, guys, because you got to be honest with yourself. You could sit there and go, oh, it sounds good. Actually, I think that it sounds good anyways. Okay, it doesn't matter what you think. Okay, the reality is that it could sound terrible. All right, you want to make sure that it sounds good. The way that you make sure that is write it down and then compare it to the script. You want to make sure that it sounds good. You record yourself saying it without looking. Okay, put the papers over here. Record yourself saying it without looking, and then hear where your weaknesses come up. Even if you don't feel like you can get done with the whole thing, even if you feel like it's going to be sort of a fruitless effort. Okay. Sorry for the distraction. I'm trying to look for this thing, and these guys are screwing it up. Okay. Even if you feel like you can't get through it, okay, it's effective to go through, record it, and see where you got stuck at, the different parts you get stuck at. That's going to be a super effective thing to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna get through this, okay. Then I'm gonna repeat my system, okay. That's gonna be the next thing that I'm gonna do. Even if I have it down, I'm gonna repeat my system. If I don't have it down, I might repeat my system a couple times, okay? Okay. Until I have it down, I'm gonna keep repeating. All right. Now, when I go to learn the next part, I am going to make sure I still remember part one. So before I do any part, I'm going to go back to the previous part and just make sure. I know I'm being thorough, but I'm going to make sure that I still have it down so I can combine these things together. Okay, that's where it makes the most sense. So I'm going to go through. So let's say day one, I go through and I repeat this system until I learn it. Great. I feel like I have it down good. I go into work the next day. Okay, they assign me a certain couple things. Now I get the warm down. I have the last impression, that whole nine, the rest of the script. Okay, I'm going to go home. And before I do anything, I'm going to repeat this process for the first part. Before I even try to learn the second part, I'm going to repeat this process over and over again. Okay. When I'm confident that I have that first part down, then I'm going to get into my second part. Okay. I'm going to repeat this same process for my second part. I'm going to get that down for the second part. Now, what I'm going to do in addition to this, okay, is I'm going to record myself and I'm going to listen to it whenever I get free time. Okay. So whenever I get free time, I'm going to record myself. But the biggest thing is recording to me, listening to it to me works best for retention. That is a retention tool more than anything. Okay. So I go through all these different things here. I quiz myself. I got it down. Great. I go into the second part, quiz myself. I got it down. Okay. Now, once I have the entire script down confidently, I am going to combine the sections to bring the thing together. Okay. Then I am going to repeat again. Okay. I know it gets dull, guys, but I'm going to go through that. I'm going to make sure I got everything down. Everything is good. I'm going to make sure I feel good about doing all this stuff together. Okay. All right. Once I feel like I have all that stuff down, once I feel good about everything that I'm doing, okay, and I feel comfortable, like I can move on from it. Remember, I'm still new to the job. I'm probably on day 3, but I'm not on day 15. I'm still going to have to work at this as I go. This is not going to be something I'm going to have down long term if I don't continue to study. Okay. So now we'll do what I call check in studying. And this is best for veteran people, not meaning veterans like military veterans. I mean like veterans to the company. I'm sure it's good for military veterans too if they work here, but this is best for veteran employees and people just coming out of training. Look, there's so many different distractions. You see me going through distractions right now. There's so many different distractions that can happen that will cause problems for you. Okay. When you're doing this job, you'll start to learn the wrong thing over and over again. And then that will start to repeat in your mind. You'll end up having the wrong script down in 2 weeks. Okay. So it's a great thing to repeat. The way I check and study is each night for the first First 2 weeks out of training, I am going to do at least some of these exercises. Massacred that word. Okay. So I'm going to do at least some of these exercises for the first 2 weeks of the training. Now, we're going to go over training on rebuttals here in a second. So keep in mind, I would do this for rebuttals as well. I just want to keep consistent with what I'm doing here. Okay. And then I would just do the same thing for rebuttals when it comes to check-in study. Okay. So the first 2 weeks out of training, I'm going to do at least some of these exercises. Okay. Number one, try to find a training partner. Okay. I'm going to try to find a training partner that will collaborate with me each day. Okay. It might be tough. You can go over Zoom, 15 minutes, doesn't need to be a big deal, but that's the first thing I'm going to try to do. Okay. And I want that person to criticize my scripting if I get something wrong. Okay. Number two. Okay. I'm going to, we'll call it shotgun training methods. Okay. Shotgun training should be do 2 to 3 of each training methods or study methods for each part of the script. Okay. So it doesn't going to take a long time. Okay. But that might look like this. It might look like, okay. Right. Read out loud, write, read, and mirror. Okay. Okay. It's going to look something like that. It's just going to be like bang, 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 get it done. Okay. I'm just going to go through it. All right. I'm going to just train myself to do something slightly different each day. All right. Something that I can handle, that I can deal with. Okay. It's not going to take me too long, but that makes me know that I'm continuing to do this. Okay. Then I'm going to test myself every other day. Every other day, I'm going to quiz myself just like I was doing before. I'm going to read it into a recorder. I'm going to check my work. Okay, make sure I get it done. Again, if you do this, guys, you're never gonna lose this information. That's the beauty of it. Okay, if you do this, you're not going to lose the information at all, and that is the beauty of it. Okay. Nice. I think I got the team. I think the cards for me. Good. Okay. All right. So then each day of the first week. Okay. All right, cool. So this is what I'm going to do. My first 2 weeks out of training. Okay. Now, after, as a veteran employee, I am going to employ some of the same techniques. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing if I'm a veteran employee. I'm just not going to do it probably every day. I'm going to probably do it once or twice a week. Okay. But I am going to do this 1 to 2 times per week. Okay. I am also going to find a script partner, which we've had over the last couple of weeks. We've been doing this script partnership stuff, okay, with the team leader and stuff like that for scripting, okay? It's been beneficial. And I am going to collaborate before each event for 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to ask the person I'm working an event with, hey, will you test me? Will you quiz me? And I'm going to tell them, hold this script. Tell me what I didn't do right. Tell me what I did wrong. Okay. But that's your best way to check in with yourself and keep yourself fresh, guys. I know it seems like a lot, but you're talking about 20, 30 minutes a week in studying, and then a couple minutes each day before the scripting. It's not a significant. It's not a significant amount of training. You'll be fine. You'll get it down good. Okay. All right. So moving on from that. Okay. Rebuttals. Oh, the hell just happened there? Rebuttals are easier to learn. They are harder to retain. Okay. Why is that? Well, rebuttals are easier to learn because they are little paragraphs. Okay. Little paragraphs. That's it. All right. The reason why they're harder to retain is because there's a number of them. And unless you're using them frequently, like you're using the script, it gets more and more difficult to retain that information. Okay. So I'm just going to get an example here. 1 second. Of rebuttal. All right. We're going to use this one right here. It's coming. Hold on. Okay. We're going to use this one right here. Okay. So this is not a long rebuttal. Okay. Now, you do what you need to do. If you can learn this all together, then great, fine, fantastic. Learn it all together, no problem at all, right? But if you're having trouble with that, then cut it in half, okay? Right here, I would say is a good halfway point because of how it ends there, okay? So absolutely certain when you're doing, this will give us the information necessary to work on your home. But even if you don't, this quote's locked in for 1 full year. Right there is the bulk of the rebuttal. Okay. So if I can learn that, then I have down the hard part, because this ending part here is mainly going to be the ending for most rebuttals. I mean, it's going to be very similar to this. Okay. So that end part is relatively easy to learn. It's this beginning part that I have to worry about. So I'm going to focus on that. If I'm having trouble learning these things, okay, then I'm going to focus just on that in the beginning, that first part. Okay. I'm going to employ a lot of the same techniques. The thing is, it doesn't take as much for me to do rebuttals. Okay. So that's the reason why I'm not going to come up with a system that takes as long. Each of these rebuttals should take you 10 or 15 minutes to learn. Okay. And then it should take you probably another day or so to retain, but not a day total, obviously. Like after a couple days of doing it, as long as you continue to do it, as long as you continue to use the rebuttal, then you'll retain it. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do is make note cards. Make the whatever you call those. Okay. The testing cards. All right. All right. And the reason why that's so important is because you're not going to use these rebuttals all every day. So being that you're not using these rebuttals all every day, it's important for you to be able to, pull those out while you're in your car, pull those out while you're out to eat, whatever you want to do. Just pull them out and say, okay, not interested, bang, go. Okay. All right. Pull out note cards or make note cards to test yourself. Okay. Very, very important to rebuttal. Okay. Number 2, learn the rebuttal each 100% before you move on. Okay. So until you know not interested number 1, do not go to not interested number 2. It's just going to screw you up. Not interested number 1. Okay, great. I got it down. I'm confident. I've gone over this. Okay. I would say this. Until you, Jesus, can do the rebuttal 10 times in a row without fail, without flaw, okay, you do not know it. Don't move on until you can do it 10 times in a row without flaw, okay? Because that's when you know, okay, I got this down. I know this, okay? I'm going to make sure that I have this down before I move on to the next one, okay? Reading and writing are more effective with rebuttals than with script. And the reason is because they're shorter. So, I mean, reading in your head and writing are more effective with rebuttals than they are with script. So, I'm going to come up with a system for rebuttals that works for myself based around my strengths. Okay. And it's going to look something like this. Okay. Hey, first thing. Okay. I'm going to write 3 times. I'm going to read in head 3 times. Okay. I'm going to write 2 times. I'm going to read in my head 2 times. Okay. I'm going to read it out loud. Test and repeat. Okay. That's what I'm going to do to learn each rebuttal. Okay. And once I can test myself 10 times in a row, then I'm confident with it. Okay. Number 4 here. Okay. Whenever you notice you are not using a rebuttal for more than a couple days, study it again and make sure you know it. Okay. Very important. Whenever you're not using a rebuttal for an extended period of time, study it again and make sure that you know it. I'm going to go through the rebuttals and sort of, not change all of them or nothing like that, but I'm going to make some changes, some positive changes that I think will help out a lot for people that are struggling with the rebuttals. I think that the changes that I make are not going to be severe or bad changes or difficult changes. They're just going to be basic changes that I think will help you out, to do them at events more effectively. Okay, right now they look too much like canvassing rebuttals. I'm going to make slight changes to make them look more like events rebuttals. In the beginning, when we started doing this, I didn't really see the importance of it because of the events that we were working at before. With the events that we're working at now, I do think that it's more important for us to get some actual, retail rebuttals in and stuff like that. Okay. The number one most important thing with any of this is ask for help. Okay. Ask for help whenever you need help. That's the number one most important thing for any of this is ask for help. Okay. It's most important. All right. I'm going to make some training videos as we go forward, us practicing each rebuttal, us practicing each part of the script. Okay. So look forward to those coming out as well. I do hope this helps. Okay. So again, just to run through it one last time. All right. We have our goals, our rules for studying. Okay. Diversify first. Diversify your memorization portfolio. Okay. When working on the script, break it down into sections and write it down. Have a numbered system. Don't just do it on a whim. So say, I'm going to write this down 5 times. Don't make this the only thing you do for a number of different reasons. Number one, it will take forever to learn. Number two, you'll never learn how to communicate the words because you're not using the words at that point. Some people learn well from writing because it forces them to visualize the words. So remember that it's still a good thing to do. Read it in your head. Break it into sections. Understand this will also take forever if that was the only thing you did too. Listen to it on recording. You can do it while you're doing other things, like for example, doing the dishes. Okay, put it on right before bed and right when you wake up when you're listening to the recording. Car rides, listen, and pitch along with it in the car rides, and again break down into sections. Okay, reading it out louder in the mirror. All right, break it into sections. It gives you the communication aspect of the position. You can hear it coming from your own mouth. This will bring out any mistakes, successes, and failures. Visualize yourself saying it by looking at yourself in the mirror. Then you can see yourself saying it. It does make a difference. Okay? Create a learning system for yourself when you first started. So an example would be, let's say I'm learning sections 1 through 3 on a Monday. I'm going to write it down 3 times, read out loud 5 times, read it in my head for 10 minutes, get in front of a mirror and read it 5 times. Then I'm going to test myself by writing it down without looking. Okay. Then I'm going to test myself by recording it without looking, and I'm going to check that against the script. Okay, the words on the script. Then I'm going to repeat my system. If I don't have it down, I'm just going to keep repeating it. Okay. All right. When I go to the next part, I'm going to make sure that I still remember part 1 before I go to the next part. So before I do part 2, I'm going to make sure that I can do and test myself on part 1. Once I have the entire script down confidently, I'm going to combine all sections together, and I'm going to bring the thing together. Then I'm going to repeat myself again. Okay. Check-in study for veteran employees and people that are coming out of training. Okay. Each night for the first 2 weeks of the training, I would do at least some of these exercises. Find a training partner that's in training with you or something like that, someone that's equally as focused as you. Okay, work with them, 20 minutes a night for the first 2 weeks. Okay, shotgun train, do 2 or 3 of each training method for each part of the script. Okay, so let's say I got part 1 and I'm like, okay, cool, maybe I even make it fun. I do a spin wheel or I pick out of a hat. Okay, I'm reading out loud now 5 times. Okay, I'm reading in my head 3 times. All right, do shotgun training though. All right, for each part of the script. Read, write, read. This would be an example. Write, read, read out loud, write, read, and mirror. Okay, that would be an example. Okay, so let's say, for example, I take this sheet of paper here, okay, and I go, okay, I'm going to cut this into sections. Okay, let's say that these were each a section. Okay, so my first one that I could pull out of a hat would be read 2 times. Okay, where I'd have read 10 times. Okay, write 1 time. Okay, write 4 times. Okay, just as an example, and I pull them out of a hat, 3 of them each day out of a hat, and then that's what I would do. Okay, make sure I'm sticking to it. Okay, again, it's going to randomize your entire process. Okay, which will be good. All right, I'm going to test myself every other day or so. As a veteran employee, I'm going to employ some of the same techniques, but I'm going to do this 1 to 2 times a week. So once I'm done with this 2-week process, okay, I have everything down, then once or twice a week, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm also going to find a script partner, someone that I can be accountable to. It should be one individual that you can trust, that you can go to, that you can hand a script and say, you tell me what I'm doing wrong. And then I'm going to collaborate before each event for 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that I'm having the input of others, which can be very beneficial. Okay. All right. Remember, the rebuttals are easier to learn, but they're harder to retain. Okay. Because there's so many of them that if you're not using them, it's easy to forget. You're using the script every day, all day. So make note cards to test yourself. Learn each of the rebuttals 100% before you move on. Don't half-ass it. Know half of the rebuttal and then move on to the next one. It will only screw you up. Until you can do it 10 times in a row without flaw, you do not know it. Reading and writing are more effective with rebuttals than with the script because I'm not saying the most effective, but they are more effective with the rebuttals than they are with the script because of the length of the rebuttals. Okay. It's easier to write it down than trying to put the script together while writing it down. It's a lot easier to do that. Okay. So just remember that because those are easy options for you for when it comes to learning. It's something stuck in my eye. So a good example would be, if I'm going through this system, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to write this rebuttal 3 times, read it in my head 3 times, write it twice, read it in my head twice, read out loud a bunch of times. Okay. Then I'm going to test and repeat. Whenever you notice that you're not using a rebuttal for more than a couple days, study it again and make sure that you know it. Okay. And make sure that you're using it too, by the way. If you're not using a rebuttal for a couple days, it probably is because you're not using rebuttals. Okay. The first step to using these things is knowing them, making sure that we know. Okay. So whenever you notice that you're not using, okay, so the number one most important thing with any of this is ask for help. Okay, so make sure that you ask for help if you need any help. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video.